Hiya, and welcome back to Devil's Gambit. The game that teaches us that we're willing to sell our soul to the devil. Anyways, let's just hop right in. As we walk through Renai's forest, my eyes are fixated on the mountainous blue in front of me. Cadgan carries on, never minding the brushes, roots, or any other obstacle in the way. It shouldn't be unusual with him going back and forth between the shrine and the town countless times, but this is Renai. I've noticed it after living here for a few months, not as a guest in the Duke's Manor, but as a doctor working in the town. Somebody who often has to visit the river for water or hygiene, and who occasionally spend the afternoon prowling for herbs. This forest is truly treacherous. The path never quite twists the way you remember. Everyday roots and rocks seem to burrow or sprout out of the earth for no apparent reason besides catching you off guard. I've grown used to watching my step, but Cadgan, he doesn't spare even a single glance. I suppose it's to be expected. As a badger, I'm out of my element here, but he's the son of Renai's old priests. He ought to be more attuned to this land than I am. Hey. How are you feeling? Nervous? A bit, I guess. Last night, Teresa showed up while we were having dinner. She only stayed for a brief moment to tell Cadgan the party would be at the shrine. Now she had, in her own words, invited the entire town. I doubt that many people will show up. As the shrine comes into view and we walk under the whimsical frogs and past the statues of the two wolves, Cadgan slows down and then stops. He looks back, first at me and then behind me. One moment. He walks up to the two peaceful wolves, his wide silhouette concealing them as he crouches and reaches for them, or rather, around them grabbing something. The badger statue. He clutches it tight, enveloping it with his fist as though hoping I didn't notice. Let's go. Alright. Yeah, pretty much. That's about it. There's something bothering me. Inside the shrine, the small table we sat at the other day has been replaced by a family-sized one. Teresa and Aaron are there to greet us. The wolfess is beaming while the priest, there's a hint of smugness to his smile, which becomes even much more evident when he sets his eyes on me. There they are. Kept us waiting. I was starting to worry you bailed on us, hee hee hee. I wouldn't do that to Aaron. Cadgan wastes no time before walking up to the shelf and placing the badger statue at the top, above all of the colorful flasks and tools. He then turns to Teresa without missing a beat. Is everything prepared? Need me to set up or cook anything? Sit down, Caddy. Just leave everything to us. You too, Hector. Alright, you look happy today, Aaron. Of course. 'Tis a joyous occasion. You don't worry about a thing, my son. Teresa raises an eyebrow at him. What are you up to, old man? Nothing at all. Don't give me that look. Turn to Cadgan, whispering, What's up with Aaron? He's just happy. It's been years since we had a proper celebration for my birthday, let alone with other people. Scheming old man. He's scheming, all right. There's no way it's just that, but the gleam in Cadgan's eyes is so joyful, so childish that I can't argue back. If he's having fun, then that's all that matters. After a moment, Teresa gives him a knowing smile after she finishes placing the bread, cheese, and fruit on the table. They go out to prepare the stew. Cadgan and I are making small talk about the times Aunt Nora took me out to eat in the city when Teresa barges back in, and she's got new company. Cadgan, look who's here. Hey. Catch myself gripping the edge of the table. Cadgan hesitates at first, but then gets up to offer the other wolf a handshake. Good to see you here, though. I'm surprised you came. Fergus takes his hand. Teresa's gaze dances between the two of them, perplexed by the palpable tension. I might be an arsehole, but I'm no hypocrite. Not gonna act like I'm too good to join you today either. I haven't introduced you to Hector yet, have I? Cadgan gestures towards me and Fergus shoots me a scrutinizing look. No doubt he recognized me from countless nights he's seen my back next to Cadgan's. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Hector. Name's Fergus. He simply nods. Teresa's staring at his face with what look of hers that seems to be digging into your soul. The wolf takes notice and reluctantly returns the look. Once she seems convinced he doesn't intend to cause any trouble, the wolfess claps her hands together. Anyway, the main dish will be ready soon, boys. Feel free to grab a snack in the meantime. What about a drink? Arwell said he'd bring some. Should be here any second now. Cadgan shakes his head. You're not drinking that. I'll get you some water. Fine then. Your party, your rules. The three of us sit down while Teresa runs outside. Fergus left a strong impression on me the other day, but I try to push those feelings aside. It'd help if he wasn't so focused on me. So, who are you? Pardon? You walk in town one day and have been sticking by Cadgan ever since. Why? Hector is a very special childhood friend. Okay, I just want to say this. Hang on, let me push my microphone back a bit. God damn it! Hold on. I'll just fight it like this. I just want to say this. Every single time Cadgan makes that face in particular, I don't know, it sounds like it looks like he's telling a joke, a really bad joke. I'm never going to be happy with the placement of my microphone. Cadgan is a very special childhood friend. Really? I don't know any Badger family living in Renai. Unless they moved out. Do you remember Eogan? Wolf crosses his arms and leans back on his chair. The name rings a bell, but wasn't that a friend of Finbar's? Yes, that was Hector's father. Hang on, let me just... I'm never going to be happy with the placement of my microphone. I'm never going to be happy with it. His ears perk up and his eyes go wide. Right, the foreign doctor. Then you met back when the Duke kidnapped you, huh? So you do know about that. Hard not to. Word gets around quickly in Renai, and it was scary back then, so it's hard to forget. Scary? Folk were afraid they or their family would be next for a time. My mom would let me out of the house. He laughs it off, but for an instant he remembers being a pup, watching through a gap in the window for the Duke's soldiers. Cadgan's silently enjoying a piece of bread, seeming rather disinterested in the conversation. So you two go way back, huh? How was it, staying at the mansion? Well, it was a beautiful place, but very intimidating. Everything was too big or too precious. The hallways went on and caused every footstep to echo. Never found any demons there, if that's what you're about to ask. Ha, I'm nowhere near the age to start making those jokes yet. Really? Cadgan and Teresa used to do it all the time. But that was their thing, hoof prints outside your home. Strange sigils drawn in red paint. Vines painted purple to make them look like haze leaf. Whenever those showed up, you could bet your life Teresa and Cadgan were behind it. Even as a pup, Alistar was a stubborn little bastard. There was this girl that caught his eye, and although she wasn't interested, he wouldn't take no and kept pestering her. When she tired of it, she told Teresa, who told Cadgan, and boy did the two of them make his life hell. Fergus slaps the table as he breaks out into laughter. Even Cadgan lets a small smile show. I remember that. I asked Aaron to help me make this toy snake. Then I painted it and tied a string to it. When we were playing outside, I put it next to Alistar and hid behind a tree. Teresa pretended to throw a rock at it at the last second and I pulled it into the bushes. Then she told him the Dusk Viper was a sign a demon had his sights on him, and to seek counsel at the shrine. Yeah, so you went ahead to wait for him. Goodness, what happened next? Nothing much, we just put him through a bunch of fake rituals to scare him. You two were evil little shits, let me tell you. I suppose you were rascal even back then. He's always been like that, I always thought you and Teresa would get together sooner or later. Really, we get along, but I'm not her type. Guess you're more like partners in crime, huh? Or used to be. Suddenly we notice a heavy set of footsteps getting closer, followed by Arwell's bombastic voice. Just a few seconds later, he pushes the door open with a jolly smile. Teresa's behind him, trying to fit between the doorframe and his tail. Greetings, friends! Here's a present, courtesy of Arwell. First, I notice only 2 straps are on the dragon's shoulders, but once he turns, I see he's carrying a barrel on his back. He lets it slide down until it falls on the base of his tail, and then lowers it onto the floor. Damn.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Have a sip, man.
It's time to drink water.
Come on, don't be like
Time to
that.
drink water.
There's enough for everyone. As he says this, the dragon glances around the room. I figured there'd be more people here, in fact. Hey, last time it was Cadgan, Aaron, and me and my husband. It hasn't been this many people in years. That's so. Let's make this a memorable occasion then. Arwell doesn't waste time before getting to removing the barrel's lid. Teresa joins us at the table in the meantime. It looks like you guys are having fun, mind filling me in. We were remembering the time we pranked Atlastar. Oh, that was a good one. The little shit deserved for hounding Clarice the way he did. That brings me back. I miss playing around like that, dishing out some well-deserved punishment from time to time. You know, it wouldn't hurt to do a prank here or there every once in a while. Perish the thought. The fuck? The fuck? That is actually cool as hell. What is that? Yeah, why are you surrounded by purple? Like, what happened? Oh, shit. Is that a thing? Perish the thought. Imagine all we could accomplish together, Cadgan. We were young and naive back then. But now, we could truly do Renai's legends justice. Sorry, I'm too old to have that much excitement in my life. Teresa crosses her arms, feigning irritation. You are utterly hopeless, Caddy. Where did Aaron go so wrong? Arwell then slides one drink of Cadgan across the table. One beer coming up for the birthday boy. Who's next? Me, please. After her, Arwell passes me a brimming mug. I catch it and simply stare into the foamy substance, taking in its bitter smell. Something in mind, Hector? You look like smoke's about to come out of your ears. Oh, I was just thinking about Cadgan. Tell me something new. What about him? That he mellowed out with age, that's all. Teresa turns to Cadgan, one finger on her chin and biting her lower lip, deep in thought. The mountain of a wolf catches her looking, not that she's hiding it, but then proceeds to simply lap at his beer without a care in the world. You guys met him as a prankster, so I get why you'd have that impression, but I don't think he changed that much. How to say it, he's always had this edge to him, but he was still a quiet, boring kid at times. He did keep to himself, even back then. One day, me and my family went to the shrine, and I spotted him off to the side, reading all by himself. Call it intuition, but I saw he was cunning under the good boy guise. I knew he'd make the perfect accomplice. It sounds like what he did with me. I taught him well, didn't I? But didn't he punch you the first time you talked? That didn't happen to me. Suddenly I can feel everybody's gaze on me. Cadgan is still unbothered. Not quite. Oh, sorry, I forgot. First he pushed you, then he beat you up, and you were so grateful that you gifted him some nuts. Look, it was a peace offering. It might not look like it, but Hector's very perceptive and quick on his feet. Cadgan! Cadgan gives me a confused look as everyone else breaks out in laughter. I huff, gulping my mug when I spot an unfamiliar figure by the door. Oh. Well, hello. Hello.
Oh no, he's hot!
Oh, he's more than hot. A half-dressed lion leans against the doorframe with his arms closed, witnessing the scene with a sharp smile. Who's that? Oh. I'm gonna give him a Lucian voice. Oh, don't mind me. Carry on. Ricardo, you came after all. Oh, Baronin didn't give you a hard time. Of course, I wouldn't miss a chance to celebrate my good friend's life for anything in the world. And we had a most amicable chat. Oh, thank you. Who? Your most amicable chat, I assure you. The lion strides forward, sitting down to Teresa's right before swiping the bowl of cheese away from Fergus. Wolf gives him a frown that borders a snarl. Ricardo smiles, throwing a piece into his mouth. Who's this arsehole? Why did you invite a lion, Teresa? Because he's one of Cadgan's friends. And look, he actually showed up. A lot of wolves didn't do that, you know. The fuck? Oh my god, fuck off, random app. No, I'm not. I might actually scream. I might actually scream. The wolf clicks his tongue, stealing the cheese bowl back, almost with jealousy. Ricardo shrugs, tapping Arwell's arm. A beer, please. A beer, please, barkeeper. Sure thing. But what a surprise, I don't think I've seen you around before. Where do you live? My current abode is in one of the Duke's many guest rooms. I don't visit town very often, as I feel my presence is unwelcome, you see. Ah, I understand. His Grace prefers to employ lions as his more personal servants. Would you happen to be one? Indeed. That's so. You don't look like a servant. I'm no simple cook or housekeeper. I come from a lineage of appraisers. Some nobles can't tell the difference between gold and copper, or between a soft piece of silk and a used arswipe. That isn't very nice. The lion makes a dismissive gesture. We're all in good company here, aren't we? But enough, I don't want to bore you with work talk. You have many friends from far places, huh? I'm curious, how did you guys meet? The lion stares at me, rubbing his chin with the mysterious smile. Oh, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Hector. Don't worry. I know who you are all too well. I know well what he's thinking because Aaron gave me the same look when we met, as though he'd been hearing about me for a long enough time to make him stir crazy. An awkward chuckle escapes me as he continues picking me apart, taking note of every little detail that doesn't match what he imagined of me. I figured you'd be taller. You were a rather big figure in his life, you see. Well, they tell me I'm pretty tall where he came from. I figured you'd be wearing something fancier too, being a doctor and all. But I digress. Me and Cadgan go way back, much like yourself. We met when we were only children. Oh my god! Thank you, Amethyst. We first met in the mansion, but we only had a couple of short interactions. He struck me as an interesting fellow, even back then. A few years ago, I ended up seeking his expertise. Expertise? Yes, as a priest, though I suppose he never stopped being an apprentice. I figured I'd have better chances with him than with Ernan. It was a small thing. I needed help interpreting some woven runes in an artifact Leopoldino had pillaged from the valley years ago. This wasn't for a job, but as part of an investigation I was conducting out of personal curiosity. Sounds shady as hell. Your people should learn to fear the valley. Since the Duke wasn't involved and Ricardo would share his research with me in exchange, I figured it was a good deal. It was the start of a very fruitful friendship, if I may say so myself. And if it matters, I know well enough to fear the valley. I heard about the mouths and teeth. That was enough. You have friends from many faraway places, Cadgan. And until recently, I thought I was the only one. That he does. What is your story? Nothing special. Cadgan was very nice to me back when I first moved in. Most people were, but I figure I don't need to tell you that some people took issue with the dragon moving into town. While most folk were kind, I did notice they looked at me a bit different from everybody else. And when somebody stirred up trouble over my species, they would lower their head and look the other way. It made me miss home at times and my family, but Cadgan was very supportive. He didn't shy away from telling them to lay off me. When I was just starting with the inn, he always gave me a hand when he could. I hadn't noticed. Do they still give you trouble nowadays? Nah, it took time, but they did warm up to my charm. Looking back, I can even tell you what did it. There was this terrible winter right after a bad harvest, too, and everyone was afraid, if not for themselves, then for their neighbors and loved ones. And to make matters worse, a few houses collapsed under the weather. There was no way they could be rebuilt with all the snow making things difficult, so you can imagine how tense things became. but I had a few spare rooms and my hearth was warm. I didn't think much of it. While the others were still discussing what should be done, I got everything ready for the affected and brought them in. Since then, everyone has treated me like one of their own. I won't deny that people here have rough edges and are cautious towards newcomers. This town is a big family and everyone knows each other, so it's not every day we get new faces. But like any family, people can join in, and once they do, that's it. You're one of us, and if you stick with us, we'll stick with you. You say that, but I haven't seen Arwell compete in the Great Lake Games yet. Oh, I just didn't want to intrude. Nonsense. You need to participate and show us what you're made of. Besides, Cadgan will have to quit making excuses and join too. If he's going to claim he can beat a dragon, then he better back it up. Is that how it works? Well then, I'll do my best. Suddenly, Aaron calls out from outside. Teresa, help me bring this in. Arwell, be a sweetheart and help him out, okay? Sure thing. And here we have Aaron's secret stew. First raise their hand first to get served. There's no secret to it, as usual ingredients. Horned beast meat, marinated in pale bloom fruit juice, mashed red wheels, a bit of fire fruit for the extra spice and salt. What could either be a surprising display of strength on Aaron's part or a more typical display of shyness on Arwell's. The old priest wrestles the ladle from the dragon's hand and points at the table. And give me that! Go take a seat already! But the chairs are too small. Huh. You can use a small table as a seat, I guess. Good thinking! It's not often I get to try traditional Rhine cuisine. And may I have the first serving, sir? Wait, Cadyan, do you want your presents before or after the main course? Her piercing gaze falls on me just long enough for me to notice before she returns to Aaron. She did that on purpose. I don't mind either way. In that case, it's better if we wait. Oh, what makes you say that? Aaron whispers at first before speaking up. He should be here soon. Let's eat in the meantime. Who? Compared to the other night's stew, this is similar yet richer. Cadgan had to procure the meat on short notice, while Aaron knew about the birthday a few days in advance. He had more time to prepare it, and it shows. Very not subtle old man. He is old. We're just a few bites into the meal when there's a knock on the door. The priest nearly jumps off his seat to go get the new guest. Finally! Come in, Bear. We were all waiting for you. Hang on, is that a dude? Or that's a dude? You can tell, because he has a penis. You were G. Thank you, sir. I'm so sorry I'm late. My aunt asked me to run errands for her at the last minute. So, a pudgy wolf comes in. He looks around the shrine, smiling, but with a hint of confusion in his eyes. Before he can say anything else, Aaron pats him on the back and invites him to introduce himself. Bear, isn't this the like me but less gelatinous wolf that Aaron mentioned? Cadgan barely reacted to his name, so I figured they didn't know each other that well. Oh, he is cute. He is so cute. How unusual that he'd attend his birthday party then, but stranger things have happened. Fergus was the last person I expected to see her, after all. I lower my gaze back to the food. One bite, two, and then I look at Bear again as he greets Teresa with a hug. He's carrying around something tightly wrapped in a white cloth. It's sort of large, too. Probably not meat or food. It looks too solid and doesn't have much of a smell. Have he and Cadgan talked before? It's a small town. Everyone knows each other. And Cadgan is the lumberjack. It'd be odd if they hadn't. But looking at him, I think Aaron was off the mark. He's attractive. There's no denying it. That doesn't mean Cadgan would be interested in him. Might be shorter than Cadgan now, but upon closer inspection, Bear is around my height too, but back when we met, I was a few centimeters taller. It's obvious he prefers larger men, so I can't imagine Bear catching his eye. If anything, it'd make more sense for him to be into Arwell, which he also isn't. Not to mention he looks a bit clueless, and his eyes carry this ominous feeling, and... Hector. The wolfess is leaning over the table, snapping her fingers right in front of my nose. Yes? You're spacing out again. Have you been getting enough sleep? I did. Last night. Okay, anyway, Bear here wanted to introduce himself. Nice to meet you. I'm Bear. You're Dr. Hector, right? Indeed. As we shake hands, I pray that not a trace of animosity showing on my face. Judging by Teresa's infection... expression, however, I'm failing spectacularly. Bear either doesn't notice or doesn't care. Sorry if this is a bit weird, but I heard about you. You're the talk of the town ever since you made an antidote for dusk viper venom. That fellow you treated, Gerard, he's a cousin of the granddaughter of my aunt's childhood best friend. I really can't express how grateful we are for what you did, Doctor. Sure, alright. Anyway, let's enjoy our meal now. After that, it's present time. I hope you're ready. Mine will blow all yours out of the water. Present time? Oh, I see. Take that free spot next to Cadgan Bear and let me fetch you some stew. As lunch continues, the newest addition to the party becomes the main topic of conversation. How's life been treating you? Your aunt's still making trouble? Nah, I'm glad to lend her a hand. She indeed fought a lot with Dad over the farm, and that strained our relationship too. She is not a bear. I just like to do that laugh. But now that it's just the two of us, things are different. I'd forgotten how well we get along when I was younger. To be honest, it's like we're slowly returning to that time. What do you do to help her with, if you don't mind me asking? We're on the farm mostly. Dad was a workaholic, to put it mildly, so he left very big shoes to fill. We consider getting more people to help or just downsizing our activities, but with this Duke situation, we never know when I might be called to join the expedition. And if I get injured, I might be unable to work for a long time. So we've been toughing it out, saving up in case of emergency. Smart, but it sounds like you have quite a lot on your plate. And you're intending to win the Great Lake Games on top of that. You're a tenacious one, you know that? You know what they say, choke life by the neck. That's how it went, right? I'm pretty sure it's grab life by the balls. Teresa lets out a cackle. Not even close. Thank you for taking a moment of your precious time to come here, Bear. You're an excellent young man. The circumstances fate brought upon you are an injustice, but that makes you all the more admirable for surmounting them. I believe we have much to learn from your example. I sigh, looking away to the side. I'm going to kill him. Did you say something, Hector? No, nothing! I understand you intend to captivate a sweetheart of the games this year, hmm? Please don't put me on the spot, sir. Not next to my girlfriend. You want to? When we were kids, we used to joke about getting married if we didn't find anybody else by the time we were grown-ups. Yeah, and then Teresa got a partner and didn't wait for me. No matter this year, I'm catching up to you. I'll be introducing you to an actual girlfriend by the end of summer. Oh, he's one of those people. Oh. Ooh, I can't wait. That's great, Bear. Say, what about men? Lots of men admire strong fellows such as yourself. Well, as Dad used to say, a hole's a hole, as long as they can take a good pounding. The implications of that are horrifying. Bear, this is the first thought that came to mind. Bear, genuine question for you. Baby, genuine question for you. Did your dad fuck a tree? That is a genuine question. Did he fuck a tree? That is a question. That is the first thing that came to mind. Hang on. I can't recall the last time I heard a laugh so full of despair. Anyway, Bear, why are you here? With how busy you've been with the farm, I didn't invite you because I figured you wouldn't have time. Not to mention, I've never seen you and Catcan talk before. That's right, the priest asked me to come today last time I visited. Teresa nods knowingly, her gaze shifting to Ernan, who tries to look unfazed. She then points to the wrapped-up package. And what's that on your lap? Isn't it obvious? It's a birthday present! Anyway, Bear, come outside with me for a moment. Sure. As we watch them leave, Teresa shrugs and goes back to eating. Harl points at the door and turns to us. Interesting fellow, that Bear. Did you notice he was wearing dragon-style garments? Maybe he learned it from you. You read my mind, Cadgan. Who knows, maybe he likes dragons. You two could be good friends. The two wolves rejoin us at the table not long after. There's a renewed determination in Aaron's gaze, and Bear doesn't seem so lost anymore. I try not to mind them. After cleaning her bowl, Teresa gulps down what remains of her beer and leans back. Cadgan, you know what I've been thinking. I don't know, what? It's a shame. That armor you're wearing, it was part of a full set, right? But it didn't fit you. Uh-huh. What are you getting at? Teresa looks around the room with a tipsy smile, taking in our now curious expressions, chuckling to herself. No doubt the cogs in her head are machinating a most impish plot. Suddenly, she hops off her seat and dashes to the altar in front of the two planets. She leans over it, almost falling over to the other side before rising at the last second, holding at what at first I confused for a red tablecloth. But as she unfolds it, it becomes apparent what it really is. Even Cadgan gasps in realization. Oh, a shirt. And when she smirks, I understand I've fallen into her trap. Slowly, she brings her arms apart, revealing a second blue shirt hiding behind the first one. No, 2 shirts. And now I have something comfy to wear at home. Neat, huh? They look great. Mind if I try one now? Sure, take this one. Oh. Oh. Attraction plus 100. This feels nice. Looking good. Looking good. That's nice. I know how hard it can be to find clothes that fit. Aw, you should have told me. I thought you were dressing like that to show your assets. I'll knit you something next. How about you, Fergus? What did you bring? Sorry, I couldn't think of anything good to bring. In that case, allow me to go next. The lion produces from his belt a sheathed knife. He holds it up, inviting us to observe the ornate design of the handle before showing us the blade. Cadgan, my friend, where I come from, men often defend their honor and solve their disputes on the knife. Dignity, reputation, and honor are very important for us. There's a good reason why a group of lions is called a pride. So, I hope you understand the significance of gifting a pride-worthy gift. I do not wish to ever step on your bad side, and I'll pity the fools who do. Aaron leans in to take a good look at that shining blade. That is no mere paperweight. Correct. This will slice through the pelt of any prey like butter. I hope it will be useful for you in your future hunts. Thank you. I hope to make use of it soon. I take a deep breath, reaching into my belt bag. I take out a tiny green crystal. Teresa leans over the table and takes a closer look. Prismillium? Yes, his dad gave it to me a long time ago. Served me greatly for a time, and I still hold on to it for good luck until now, that is. I want you to have it. Gently place the crystal in the wolf's palm. Cadgan stares at it in silence, his ear fluttering a little. Not bad, Hector. Not bad. It is a very nice present, I'll admit. Bear, you brought one too, didn't you? Rat. The big wolf takes the package and begins unwrapping it. What jumps at me first is a quill of arrows, but then I notice him producing a second, smaller cloth tied to a bag. A sweet, sticky smell leaks from it. I got some arrows for your bow. Here. Ever so gently, he places the bag on the table and unties it, revealing a collection of small bone-shaped dough snacks of multiple colors. Here's some bone candy, the fanciest straight out of an As bakery. Something's up. That quiver of arrows, what a perfect present. I can picture Cadgan hiding in the shadows, his arm pulling back the string as he aims, with one of those wheat-colored arrows between his fingers. But it's too perfect. I know what Aaron's trying to do, but he slipped up by picking this present. Why, my how thoughtful, Bear. You know, I bet Cadgan would love hunting with you. Interesting. I thought you and Cadgan didn't have a conversation until today. How did you know he has a bow? What? Teresa must have... These are very nice, Bear. Suddenly, Cadgan looks up, clutching the tiny prismillium crystal. Immediately, I see it, that stiff look, the shortness of breath. Well, all your presents are. I'm so grateful. I just need some air if you don't mind. Sure thing, Caddy. Cadgan doesn't look back as he exits the shrine, leaving behind a room in silence. Bear looks at the quiver and the candy sitting on the table, a confused expression on his face. Sorry, did I do something wrong? No, you didn't. Yeah, he's not upset. He just gets overwhelmed sometimes and needs a minute to cool down.
It's time to drink water.
You say so. Cheer up, Bear. Here, let me get you a refill. Thank you.
It's time to drink water.
Ricardo clears his throat, leaning forward for the first time since he's finished eating.
Water.
By the way, this is my first time coming here, so I hope you don't mind me asking. That statue outside, the one of the two wolves, by the path arriving to the shrine to be precise, who are they? I was wondering the same thing. It completely slipped my mind with all the bear. Aaron's expression becomes rigid as he weighs his words, but I know the answer to that question, don't I? Those are his parents, right? Everyone goes quiet, exchanging discreet looks with each other. I'm starting to think I might have made a mistake when Aaron shatters the silence, his voice cold under an eyes winter night. Of course! Who else could it be? Aaron touches his mouth as though smoking a pipe that is not there. This shrine was no place to raise a kid back then. It was a cold, lonely ruin full of regrets, covered in cracks and grief, so that wherever you look you'd feel that gnawing pain, that lack. I made the swings outside, only one at first. The second came when we started watching the sunset together. We did it every day for years. That's when I tell him about the world, our legends, our past. I had to teach him so much to make up for the hurt the Duke did. After that came the frogs. I thought they'd be like little friends watching from above, greeting him whenever we walked back home. He gave names to each one of them. And after that, the statues came to our minds at about the same time. He wanted something to remember his parents by, and so did I. I loathe the idea that he'd forget them and how profound their love was. It drove me mad at night just thinking about it. I carved those two statues out of a single block of wood. They were made to fit together, and to greet him back home. A heavy air hangs over us, suffocating enough that none dares to speak. Teresa seems to be the only one unaffected, though she remains silent out of choice. Perhaps out of a sense of responsibility, Ricardo was the first one to raise his head and speak. I apologize. Cadgan told me about his parents' disappearance. I should have realized. No matter, it's not a secret or anything. Disappeared, you say? Teresa grinds her teeth and purses her lips as if the world has left a sour taste in her mouth. Am I mistaken? They are dead. They've been for a decade at least. Leopoldino killed them. Teresa. What? It's like you said. It's not a secret. Everyone knows it. They wouldn't have gone somewhere far away without their son, and never come back for him. I was too young to understand what was happening back then when they disappeared, but considering how afraid my parents were of the Duke back then, I did get the impression he was involved. And yes, after such a long time, I doubt they are alive. Now that you mention it, I do recall Dad telling me to watch out for those land soldiers around that time. Could it be they got in trouble with Leopoldino, so they had to run away and couldn't risk returning? Who knows, now that Leopoldino is gone, they might show up one of these days. Maybe, but it's hard to believe they could escape Leopoldino's clutches. No, they are gone for good. And if that wasn't enough, Leopoldino made it his mission to torment their son as well. And as he admits this, Aaron lets his shoulders fall and looks down at his hands. Believe me, if I'd been able to, I'd have choked the life out of the bastard. Oh, but I'd have made him suffer first. I'd have peeled the skin off his fingers, opened him up, and fed him his guts. As Aaron clutches his hands, does he imagine it? The lion's supple neck in his grasp, and the moment his windpipe gives in under his thumbs, the priest then looks us in the eyes. But all I can do is pray. His former servants whispered that after his expedition, after Cadgan was released, he was a changed man. That he'd have this glassy look in his eyes, and he'd wake up in the middle of the night in terror. And when he walked down the mansion's halls, he'd look over his shoulder because he could swear somebody or something was looking at him from the doorways. I pray it's all true, but that's not all. I pray that he spent the rest of his days feeling like a maggot next to the beauty of his marble and gold. And that when he died, he looked at his lunatic son and knew the fate of his legacy, of everything he built up, as to tear itself apart from inside out. When Manuelino falls, because oh he will, I hope and pray it'll be the end of his wretched family. His kingdom will remember them with shame and dedicate them a footnote in their history books at best. But us, oh, we'll remember. Not with respect, not with fear, but with mockery. Another foolish duke who thought he could tame Renai with the Eye Valley. In the Eye Valley, nothing less, nothing more. The wolf falls silent, hands weakly gripping the table. He now truly looks his age, all the burdens and regrets he's accrued across the years hanging over his head. After a moment, Fergus starts clapping, his face radiating joy. Hell yeah! I'll drink to that. Pass me a mug, Arwell. Cadgan doesn't have to find out. Takes a moment for the dragon to realize he's being addressed. If it's only one, I guess it's fine. The dragon refills his own mug and passes it to Fergus. The wolf raises it high as though partaking in a toast before downing it. I look at Ricardo, wondering what a line under the Duke's employ might have to say about it, but he's hard to read. He looks down at his drink, swirling and keeping his thoughts to himself. There's no disapproval, at least, maybe the tiniest smirk at the corner of his lips. Perhaps he does not want to implicate himself by speaking his mind. Teresa stands up and walks behind Aaron, putting her hands on his shoulders and massaging him. Relax, Aaron, you'll pull a muscle again. The old man grumbles something under his breath but doesn't protest. Soon enough, Fergus and Ricardo become absorbed in a conversation of their own, as do Arwell and Bear. I'm the only left looking a bit out of place, twiddling my thumbs as I watch Teresa digging her elbow into Aaron's back. She has the old priest nearly melting under her touch. Starting to get a bit jealous when she talks to me. Hectorino, could you go check on Cadgan? He's been out there for a while. Sure. Nature must have called him. He'll be back in no time. Maybe so, maybe so. A tempered breeze welcomes me as I step outside. The sun is in the middle of hiding behind the horizon and the birds have begun their closing song. Cadgan sits under a tree a few meters away, on the larger of the two swings. His oversized frame barely fits between the two ropes, and his knees are so high up he might as well be curling up. It's almost cute. What's the matter? Hector, it's nothing. I was just relaxing. I'm not used to being the center of attention for so long. I contemplate the other swing, but it's too small for me. Although even if I could fit on it, the poor branch would snap under the strain of our combined weight. Are you having fun at the party, I mean? Yes, I'm glad we have so many people this year. For the better part of these last 9 years, I've had a solid image of Cadgan. I thought I knew him as well, if not better than myself. Sure, sometimes he did things I didn't understand, but I knew his favorite food and games, the way he preferred to sit down, and just how hot any given day had to be for him to want to get into the river. A glance was enough to tell how he was feeling. A smirk was all I needed to guess what he was up to. But now that image lies shattered at my feet. As I pick up the pieces to try and put them back together, at times they form something similar to that boy from 9 years ago, only for him to vanish again when I put the next piece in place. Even then, I could tell he was happy earlier today, and that he still is now. His blue eyes don't lie. They never did. But then, why does he sound so unsure? I didn't imagine Teresa would invite even Ricardo. That was bold. Is she worried? A little, I think. Another breeze passes us. Renai's many arms rock back and forth, shaking their leaves, and alongside that is the sound of the wooden frogs colliding with nearby branches or against each other. Hernan said your little friends have names. One of them doesn't happen to be called Hector, right? Cadgan raises an eyebrow and follows my gaze to the frogs. I considered it, but no, I thought... He scratches his ear. It'd be embarrassing if I had a wooden frog named after you next time you visited. Oh, I'm sorry. Why? I should have come back sooner. I wish I could have, but for the longest time I didn't think I deserved to. I just stayed in Oblon, waiting to die from the plague like everybody else. Cadgan stares at me wide-eyed, as I confess such a dark and terrible thought. It's only after I've said it that it dawns on me. Those words that once dragged me to the darkest nightmares now come out so naturally. Should I be thankful that Ranskai pulled them out of me once? Should I feel bad that I told a demon before sharing them with the man who rightfully deserved to hear them? It hits me. The shame. God, Hector, you really fucked it up. But I can tell him the truth still, if not for mine, then for his benefit. It's true. I was waiting to die. I was sure it would come soon enough. That thought could not leave my mind, not after I saw my father's body. Then his mind, fading right in front of me. I kept going. I held onto my scalpel, but in my mind I was already dead. And I stayed that way for a long time. The very thought that you could see me like that made me so ashamed. More than that, if I were to die, I hope that you'd remember me by our happy childhood memories. I was ashamed of myself and the world we live in, of the plague and what it tore out of me, of the future I imagined which could never come true, all the promises left behind. Even though I knew it wouldn't be easy for you to return to your normal life, that you could use a friend by your side, you would be better off not knowing who or what I became. I'm sorry, Cadgan. I should have visited sooner. Should have let you know what had happened. Shouldn't have allowed this shame to rule me. Cadgan remains taken aback. Barely breathing, immobile except for a twitching ear, all the while still sitting on his tiny swing. And there we stand, silent, as the sun continues its descent, adding the colors of nostalgia to the sky. I look away to the path back to Renai, then down to my hands waiting for a response. Almost a minute passes before Cadgan brushes his fur back, eyes almost closed. His ear settles down, and when I look at him, I see such peace on his face, one I've never seen before. And when he speaks, his voice is bassy and full-bodied, as if it came from a place much deeper within. You don't have to apologize. I'm happy that you're here now. Long and twisted as your paths may have been, you are here. Are you really? You're not mad? A look of utter peace remains, but new details are taking shape. A profound exhaustion, as if the very act of existing was an unbearable effort. A part of me was angry, yes, at times like on the anniversary of your first visit. I felt so sure you'd be coming soon, that you just had to be over the horizon making your way back. There'd be a reason why you didn't come sooner, why you never sent a letter. Something had happened, surely, and it all makes sense. But you wouldn't arrive. The days would pass, your birthday or mine would come, or Finbar's, and I'd be waiting again, asking if any carriages came to town. I'd feel sad at the thought that you had forgotten me when what we had was so unforgettable to me. I got angry when the idea crossed my mind that maybe I never meant much to you. But I always believed that couldn't be it, that you must have had a good reason to not visit. I couldn't let go of that hope. Sometimes I wish I could let go. Then I hated myself for wanting such a thing, followed by cursing that I was too weak to go through with it when the pain became too unbearable. Little by little, I wished I could at least hand my feelings away, let someone else hold on to that storm, so I could survive the next day. Things were not easy. The people of Renai didn't know what to think of me when I returned from the Duke's mansion. It took time and effort to reintegrate. He gives the shrine a sideways glance. There's warmth and cheer there, but it's such a small ember in the middle of these woods. And even after all those years, people still don't know what to make of me. But still, I held on to the hope that you would come back someday. At least part of me did. If not you coming back, I'd hoped one day I'd receive a letter. Dreamt that maybe you were stuck somewhere with your father and needed help, but when I felt secure that I could fend off for myself, I even prepared for it. I wish you had told me what you were going through. God, Hector, I should have sent him a letter at least. Why did I close myself off, you idiot? Don't cry. Hold it in and take it all with dignity. Cadgan, you're such a fool. You still have every right to be angry at me. Maybe so. Perhaps I was fooling myself with all my hopes, but if they gave me the strength to get out of bed and face the day, then was it bad? Everyone has hopes, assumptions, and lies they believe in. These are some of mine. A hope, an assumption. Like when I believed fate brought us together, that there was anything left in Oblon for me to save. Even now I continue pushing on because I think that's what Dad would have wanted, but how could I possibly know that for sure? All those things we tell ourselves wishing to be true, yet knowing there is no such thing as fate, that so much of our past is lost, clinging on to lies, refusing to say the truth. With that same look of profound peace, Cadgan looks up to the sky. Something changed a while before you arrived. As much as a part of me still wanted to see you, I hoped you wouldn't come. Not now, much like you didn't want me to see you during the plague. In a way, I didn't want you to see me like this. Once more he brushes his hair back, and in the lingering silence I can't control myself. I have to know. What changed, Cadgan? I look down at his shirt, and it hits me then. The armor. Is it the Duke? Cadgan almost closes his eyes, as if about to fall asleep. The expedition sector. The dark god sleeping in the depths of the valley. He raises his stiff hands, half opened into two crescent moons. His slumber grows thinner and weaker with each trespassing. He commands each finger one by one to move, hands drifting further apart, two circles expanding outwards around us. I was meant to be a priest of Renai. I feel it in my bones, my skin, in each one of the layers you know so well. When I sleep and dream, when I plant my feet on the valley's soil, when I hear the whispers of the wind, I feel it so clearly. The barrier between us has been compromised. It's leaking out now, spreading its influence, threatening life itself. Perhaps this has been the case for longer than we imagine. You have not seen the horrors, Hector. You do not understand the valley and what it contains. Death itself is a merciful fate compared to what it can do. And should we survive its influence, though I know not what would be left of us to survive, God have mercy when the Inquisition comes to raze us to the ground. I did not want you in Renai, not now of all times, and I did not want to give you a reason to stay, let alone to implicate you in this dark secret. I do love you, Hector, and I didn't want to see you pulled into this tragedy, but He does not finish his sentence. Cadgan remains frozen in that moment, slumbering almost. It's too late now, isn't it? I know too much already. I regret letting you know about it, just as much as I regret that it was an absolute necessity. Now you know a secret that, on its own, puts your life at risk. If the Inquisition finds out, you will not be spared, but at least you can understand the danger coming from the Duke's expeditions. I wish I could feel one and only one thing at a time, but that's not what life had in store for me. Misery, complete and utter despair. I've seen Cadgan during his captivity in the Duke's mansion, but never did I see such profound pain in him. So that's why you rejected me. He wipes a tear. Yeah. God, I knew it would happen. When the Duke started looking for doctors abroad, I just knew that fate had chosen to play a cruel joke on us. You just had to come to Renai at the worst possible time, didn't you? There's a drop of anger in his voice. I often heard it when we were younger, but since I returned it had been absent. I even recognized this exact kind of fury. I felt it too during the plague. It's a wrath against the world itself. I didn't know. You didn't, and it's not your fault, but I just... His hands contorted into clawed weapons, trying to tear away the very air around us. The very idea that you could grow roots here now of all times, it made me sick. I cursed fate, I cursed this world and the times we live in. As much as I missed you and wished you'd stay, I wanted you to be free to leave before things became dire, before the Duke and his expeditions awakened the Dark God, and before we all are butchered by the Inquisition. I loathed the idea of anyone giving you reason to remain here, and yet that is what I wished for the most. I hate the secrets I've had to keep, but what other choice did I have? Back at the night of the festival, I'd have dropped everything to be with you, even Renai, if I could. But I couldn't. If the Valley's Dark God awakens, no life in the continent will be safe. And Dad and I are the last two priests of Renai left. And now you too know Renai's dark secret. I'm left speechless as I think back to every event since I arrived and see it under a new light. My times with Cadgan, the rejection during the festival, and then Ranskai. He doesn't want the god to awaken, or so he claims, but regardless, he's a shackle. He binds me here in exactly the way Cadgan wanted to avoid. But even as it all dawns on me, even if with my whole life as a coward stretching behind me, I can't bring myself to take the easy way out. I'm not leaving Cadgan. I'm not abandoning Renai. I have friends here, memories, responsibilities. I work for the Duke, but I do it to help the people of this town. And I'm not abandoning you. Not when you need me the most. Even if I can't do much to stop the Duke, I can be here for you, in the same way you'd have been there for me during the plague. Even if that puts your life at risk. So what? I've survived a plague. I already died once. I'm tired of not living, and Renai is where I belong, even if I have a duty towards Oblon. This is where What am I saying? How can I have the gall to tell him all this when I already gave myself to a demon? And yet my mouth just won't stop. I love you, Cadgan. I couldn't stop myself from loving you, even after the festival. And it's true. Whatever I feel for Ranskai, it all comes from my love for Cadgan, doesn't it? And the demon knows it. He never hid it. He didn't even trick me. His deal was honest and true. He wanted to feed on my heart. And in doing so, he mended me. Would I ever have had the courage and the presence of mind to confess to Cadgan about the plague had Ranskai not pulled it out of me first? God, is this another cruel joke of fate? Fate pulled us apart, and now that it brings us together again, it's only after I've made a deal with the devil? The hell are you two talking about? We both turn to look at the shrine. Teresa's coming towards us. She must have been watching from afar for a while. Oh, nothing in particular. The weather, the Duke's fucked up hand, your saggy tits, right, Hector? I freeze to such a degree I could pass as a tree. My body stiffens and I prepare for Teresa's rage, but when I turn to look at her, all I see is an impressed smirk. Damn, Caddy, you had me fooled. Thought your words had lost their edge for good. Cadgan stands up from the swing with some difficulty, as though he'd forgotten just how long his legs are. He fixes his flannel shirt and looks back at Teresa. I'm angry. Is that a problem? And not at all. Be my guest. Say, is there any beer left? I will bear tearing through that barrel. You better hurry up. She then walks past Cadgan and throws an arm over my shoulder. Is she drunk? Her breath sure smells like it. Hectorino, I need you for something. Oh, for what? It's a secret, nosy wolf. Nosy wolf, mind your own. Mind your own! Cadgan gives us a small smile before walking away. Teresa, meanwhile, turns me away towards the forest. May I ask what you need? Oh, I just had to talk with you about a thing or two. I had been meaning to pull you aside for ages now to tear you a new one. What did I do? You know what you did. I'm talking about you leaving Cadgan behind for 9 years without even a letter. But from the looks of it. She glances at Cadgan's back as he enters the shrine. You two talked it out? You could say that. It's been a while since saw Caddy like that. She sounds pleasantly surprised. Almost impressed. There's no doubt in my heart that she'd tear me to pieces if she considered it fitting, so I can't help but feel relieved. But that is not to say the harshness is completely gone from her voice. Can't say I know your circumstances, Hector, but as a friend of the both of you, I just want to ask. Don't disappear on us again, okay? Or else I'll track you down and gut you alive. I know I won't go away again. For how long have you been intending to tell me that? Ever since you returned, to be honest. But I was afraid it'd make you cry. And then Cadgan would get on my case over it. He's overprotective when it comes to you. I figured somehow. Well, let's head back. I just need a moment to process what we discussed. Okay, join us when you feel ready. Teresa's footsteps grow fainter as she walks away. I close my eyes and slowly look at the frogs hanging over my head. Old and covered in moss, they continue smiling all the same. I stay there and eventually sit down on the larger swing and close my eyes. How many times did Cadgan and Aaron sit on the swing while I was away? How often did they talk about me? And today here we are, my legs hanging from it as the wind blows deeper into the woods, past the shrine and then towards the long path to Renai. It carries a sense of nature, seeds and nuts half buried in damp soil, bark old and new, rotted and vigorous, and the sounds of birds singing the last hours of sunlight away. Deeper in the woods, beasts hunt, hide, die, and mate. Newborn fruit ripens on the branches, eggs are warmed, and chicks take shape. All this beauty, all the push and pull of life. What would be of this of us, if Renai's dark god were to awaken and spread itself all around? I take some solace that at least Cadgan and Ranskai don't want it to awaken. Can't imagine what would happen if that at least wasn't the case. We're going to stop it for the ad when we break from the ads. Am I back? Although part of me wonders what the world would be like under this deity's grasp. As soon as the thought crosses my mind, something snaps in the distance. Perhaps a branch comes from around the shed where Aaron keeps the books. Hold up. How far are we into the update? Because right now I don't know. Girly, I can cause an ad break right now if I wanted to. I could cause an ad break if I wanted to. Right now. Wait, no, I can't. No, I can't. Ranskai? But there's no answer. Part of me wonders if this is some prank he's playing on me, but another, a colder and more weathered one, thinks back to the demonology volumes Aaron kept hidden. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up the full screen sensor because I don't fucking trust it. There are a lot of people in the shrine today, even a treasure-hunting lion under the Duke's employ and a certain wolf with a drinking problem. Perhaps the explanation is more mundane than this land's devil feeling playful. I get up and follow the noise, taking care to silence my steps. I take a peek inside the shed and find nothing out of the ordinary, but before I can tell myself it was my mind playing a trick on me, I hear the groan of claws digging into and almost ripping out a piece of bark. Behind the shed and see nothing except a trail going deeper into the forest. This time I hear whispers and I notice a scent that I can't quite describe, except for being somehow similar, hiding behind a thin veil of alcohol. Perhaps I shouldn't be so curious, but knowing that Aaron keeps secretive books here, I don't want to run any risks. I sneak in half-crouched, each step sinking softly on the soil. Do you hang on. Do you think anyone's suspicious? They were too busy with the food. No one noticed anything. I hold my breath. What exactly is going on here? Coming from just a few feet ahead, behind some trees. Maybe I can circle around. God, this feels so wrong. Having rest now, it'll be too late. That last voice suddenly clicks in my head. It's Bear. I could recognize that whiny tone from anywhere. I knew it. I knew he was up to something. That whole talk about helping his aunt after his father died was all a charade, wasn't it? Someone tricked Aaron, but I see through him. God, that's some damn weapon you're carrying. I had my eyes on it all day. Oh yeah? Then look what I can do with it. A pained groan echoes through the woods. It makes my blood boil. Enough playing around. All this load is mine. You're a monster, Bear. How could you? He stole something. This ungrateful bastard must have spent all this time taking things when no one was looking and even brought a weapon with him. And now he's getting rid of his accomplice. So much worse than I imagined. What should I do? Should I head back right away and warn the others? But it might be too late for his accomplice back then. Perhaps if I surprise him, we could subdue him between the two of us? I need to get a better grasp of the situation. I can't fuck this up. I take a step further, hiding behind a tree, and manage to get a glimpse of this villain's scheme. Slowly, I make my way towards the source of the voices until I'm so close that a single bush is all that's keeping me from witnessing a most sinister scene. Gathering my courage, I stand up just enough to see behind the foliage, and I'm met with...
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
I'm not reading that. I'm going to screenshot it real quick. It's a Durg. Durg. Hang on. I am uncomfortable. Oh, shit. What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm gonna scream. I am going to scream. Yeah, that's what's happening. And we need to decide who's apparently better than Bear. Cadgan or Ranskai. Yeah. I am deeply uncomfortable. I am deeply uncomfortable. Yeah, it's obviously Cadgan. I don't even need to... On the way back to the shrine, I could only think, Arwell, you whore! By God, have some standards! Oh my god! I'm grateful everyone was too absorbed in their conversations to notice something's off when I come back. I think Cadgan does notice something, but chooses not to ask. That's something. Eventually, Bear and Arwell do return, and Teresa wastes no time in pointing out the smell of sex on them. They immediately get flooded with questions they desperately yet uselessly attempt to brush aside. Aaron, meanwhile, looks like a skeleton on his chair, staring absentmindedly at the wall. See his eyeballs sinking deeper into their sockets. A chilly night breeze blows through the window and hits my back. Ricardo gets up from his seat. Today's been spectacular, friends. Thank you very much for having me. You're going away already? What? Afraid Manuelino will tighten your leash if you're away for too long? Oh, you know how it is. I scarcely enjoy free days. Thank you for coming. Let's drink together one of these days if you'd like. Of course. Take care, Cadgan. I see you at the usual place. It's not too long after that, Arwell says he should return to the tavern, and Bear decides to head back with him as well. Fergus is the last to go, urged by the insistent night breeze. Hey, Cadgan, I really mean it. You should participate in the games this year. Are you afraid Arwell will win otherwise? Nah, it doesn't matter who wins, I guess. Though it'd still be me, dragon or not. But you should join us. Join the town. It's not like you have any better plans, right? Maybe next year, whenever this situation with the Duke is resolved. I don't think I'll be able to devote myself to training for the games right now. Next year, then. I'll hold you to that. Got it? Sure. Fergus nods, waves a silent goodbye, and exits the temple. Aaron is the first one to sign deflate on his chair, a wave of exhaustion washing over him, and I'm quick to follow. That was fun, but now that everyone's leaving, I feel tired all of a sudden. Tell me about it. I've been here since morning. Yeah, it's not over yet. We gotta move the table back to the shack. Oh, I can do that. You don't need to worry. We'll also need a place for that barrel. If there's still so much left to do. Yeah, you take care of it, Cadgan. Mm-hmm. Throw my arms up in a yawn, a loud enough one to catch everybody's attention. Want to head back, Hector? Someone has to walk me back to town. I'm still in a rather delicate state, you know. She says it with a joking edge to her voice, perhaps even a drop of drama, but there is truth there. I suppose it's not a terrible idea. Being alone with Teresa after her warning from earlier makes me grip my knees, but I try not to let it intimidate me. Well, I'll see you sometime later, I guess. Take care. No, I'll miss you too, you old sack of fleas. Be back soon, Dad. I'll see them off. Well, then, I'd say this party was a big success. We should do it again next year. That's if Aaron allows it. If more people keep showing up, we won't fit in the shrine anymore. Then we'll have to do it in town and drag Aaron with us instead. That'll be tough. He's stubborn, but I think he's letting go of that grudge of us little by little. If you're participating in the games next year, I bet that'd help. He wanted to come to town to watch you. We'll see. Teresa steps closer to hug Cadgan. It takes a big wolf a moment to react and hug her back. Then, just as easily, she slips from her grasp and looks at me. Well, I'm exhausted. Let's get going, Hectorino. I can't wait to get home and see my baby boy. Actually, mind going ahead? I just need a minute with Cadgan. I'll catch up in a moment. She nods and trots off, though not so carelessly as not to watch her step. Even Renai's natives can find the woods to be as treacherous as I do, it seems. What'd you think? Of the party? It was great. I had no idea you were friends with the lion. Looks like you still have your fair share of adventures in my absence. What was that you helped Ricardo with, if you don't mind me asking? It's a rather long story. Teresa will get angry if I hold you for that long, but I can tell you one of these nights. Are you not coming to the tavern tonight? I think I'll go home after this. Wasn't expecting to feel so tired. All around us there's life. The ringing crickets, chirps of bats flying just above our heads, hooting owls, and so much more. For a moment, that's all there is between us as I search for the words I want to say. Before I'm ready, Cadgan breaks the silence. Did you mean what you said earlier? Even now that you know the risk we're all in, you still want to stay in Renai? He has this shortness of breath again, but he ignores it. This danger is very real, Hector. The Duke is pestering a slumbering beast that could wipe us out with a yawn. And you know far too much. If the Inquisition is made aware of it, you'll be under extreme danger. You can leave. You've already earned a very respectable amount from the Duke. I'm sure this trip was a profitable one. He sighs. And I won't be mad if you do. He's right, Hector. No matter how you cut it, this could get ugly, and there's nothing you can do to change. Why put yourself at risk like this? Oblong needs you, and you won't be of use if you're dead or worse. Cadgan is trying to protect you. But I can't leave. I can't abandon Cadgan when he needs me the most. And even if I wanted, can I even leave Ranskai behind? He and I made a deal. Don't be like that. There must be a way to get out of it. You only need to find it. You only need to find it. If not in dusty old tomes, maybe he could be convinced. He hasn't been particularly controlling, has he? Even then, there's Renai. Oblon is important to me, but so is this place. I didn't become a doctor to stand on the sidelines and watch people die. No matter how this ends, I can't go back home now. I'm not leaving Cadgan. End of story. His breathing calms down. He looks down, and for a moment, I see his face through the dark. There's a hint of that peace, or perhaps exhaustion, that took over him earlier today. But I don't know if he's smiling or not. Fate willed it, I suppose. We didn't choose this world, but it's the one we have. When did you get that courage? You weren't sounding like yourself. A smile does come out now. The tension in the air dissipates. Maybe your bravery rubbed off on me, or I'm just afraid of what Teresa will do if I bail. Guess you'll have to deal with me being around here for a while. Sorry to disappoint. It's alright. I've given up on trying to understand what fate wants from us. I'll just live one day at a time. I suppose protecting this unruly badger from powers beyond his comprehension will just be another one of my daily tasks. Cadgan shifts his feet around, and though it's almost imperceptible, I know he's just an inch closer. In that distance, how that gap burns. I want it to end, and yet my heart beats like never before, and I wish this moment could last forever. Please, I managed to befriend you when we were children. I think I'm rather capable of handling the unknown. You got lucky. Maybe I did. I was wondering, do you remember the first time we sneaked out of the mansion at night? Of course, I showed you the secret passage behind the portrait. We went out to the river. The moon shone so brightly we didn't even need a lamp. Can't help but smile as I try to word the next part. Right, I don't know what you thought of that moment, but for me it was truly special. Every moment with you was. All these years I've been trying to carry on with my life, thinking of the past as little as possible. But the time with you, that I could never forget. I gathered the courage to look into his eyes then, and noticed in their glint that he's looking somewhere far away. Somewhere familiar for both of us. I remember when I drank from the river, and the look on your face is almost as if you had seen a ghost. Then you held me. It was so sudden. Slowly he takes my hands and, pulling me closer, places them around his waist. He huffs, a difficult mix of emotions in his voice. I'm so much taller than you now, but this is as close as it gets. I don't mind it, you being tall. Finally returns my embrace. I close my eyes, and as I sink into the darkness behind my eyelids, I hear the stars flowing past us. I see. Wish I could have put what I felt back then into words. Or at least I pull back just enough to meet his gaze. Cadgan knows, and closing his eyes comes closer to me. Yes! Yes! Wow! Yeah! Yippee! Our noses touch first, and then our lips. Neither of us dare to take it further, as though afraid we'll scare the other away. But then the memory of what I didn't do, of what I lacked that night, comes back one more time, pushing me to part my lips. That's enough to give Cadgan the courage to do the same. Such a fragile, shy kiss, the slightest of interruptions could shatter this moment forever. Yet against all odds, it lasts for an eternity. Just as it was meant to be. It's almost strange to finally open my eyes and see Cadgan's face grow distant. Even if it's just a little. As though I had just woken up from a very, very long dream. We remain locked into each other's eyes until we go for another, then another. Each kiss lasts an eternity longer than the last. Each has a little more passion behind it. Cadgan remains shy, scared of letting the flame flickering within turn into a bonfire, but he never rejects or pushes me away. But then the inevitable finally happens, and we hear Teresa calling out to me. I clench up as though thunder just struck right next to me. Oh, I guess I better not keep her waiting longer. I guess so. See you later, Hector. See you later. Such a fragile-looking thing he has become, that Hector. Each step he takes away from me seems to hurt him like a new heartbreak. His usually fearful gaze has yet another fear added on top. One of me disappearing the moment I'm out of his sight. But Teresa's distant voice urges him on, and after waving him goodbye, he steels himself enough to turn away and disappear between the trees, but not before giving Mom and Dad a glance. So fragile that the wrong word could shatter him into pieces. Yet he's gotten so brave. Braver than me, at least. Place my hand on my chest, taking a deep breath, or trying to at least. It ends up much shallower than I'd like. I know, there's nothing I want more than running after him, but there'll be time for that soon enough. I need help Aaron now. You're back, son. Say, shall I lift the table from this end and you from that one? I can handle it. I was about to protest but fall silent when I grab the table and lift it effortlessly. It's been uncomfortable at first, but that ceases to be an issue after adjusting my grip a little. Alright, could you just open the door to the shack? Of course. There we go. You want to leave the beer in the shrine, or should I move it out here too? Yeah, it's fine in the shrine. He's got that look again like his age, and all that fury has caught up with him. Teresa's right, he's been getting over his curses of late. But that's not because the anger and spite are gone. Rather, they've burned out to the point that all that's left are ashes hanging on to what little heat is left in them. And yet, hang on they do. But that's not all. I sometimes forget how big you've gotten. It sounds silly, but it's true. Just can't get it out of my head how small you were when I first held you. You wouldn't stop trying to kick me in the chin. You always preferred your mother's touch. I hope I didn't offend your dad. Yeah, this barren chest of mine was to blame. You just had a healthy appetite. Nothing you could do about it. He cackles, probably thinking of a lost right that would in fact have helped him address that issue, and then looks around. His gaze sets in the direction of the river. I think I'll head to the river to clean the dishes. You need any help with that? Yeah, besides I could use the chance to take a bath. It's long overdue. Then I'll stay a bit longer to watch over the shrine while you're gone. You don't need to, nobody comes here anyway. Well, watching over the shrine is just an excuse. One day I'll stop making excuses when I don't need to. I actually would like to relax before going back home. I see, very well then. I'll grab what I need and set off. With the shrine all for myself, I simply lay down on the stone floor. All four limbs splayed out. It never fails to cool me down. What do I have to do tomorrow? There's not much wood to deliver. Not until fall arrives, at least. Then the Duke might restart his expedition soon, but for now, things are calm. Still, it might be good to at least survey the path to the valley's threshold soon. See if anything unusual has crawled out of it. Oh no. Oh no. Hector will want to hang out tomorrow. Perhaps it'd be better to push the surveying closer to the expedition. Suddenly I remember, right, the Hector statue. Get up and walk up to the shelves, eyes on the small wooden badger waiting for a hug. My hands ache at the memory of me behind the shed, trying and failing to carve a slab of wood into his shape. Eventually became too much of a mess and I started crying. Aaron found me then. He was befuddled as to why the statue was so different, so special that I'd try to carve it myself rather than ask him for help. Normally I return to his usual spot, but the moment that thought crosses my mind, I realize it doesn't sit right with me. I'm not waiting for him anymore, neither is he for me. What should I do with this little guy then? Didn't I tell you everything would be alright? Oh, shit! I fucking called it! Except I didn't! I had a hunch. I had a hunch! I had a hunch, and that hunch was correct. I feel like a god among men right now. I stop at the sound of that cocky voice. Lowering my hand, I close my eyes. You only think one day ahead, but I can see what's coming and what will be left after all the pieces come together. We are playing a dangerous game. You worry too much. It'll be fine. Now, Cadgan, what shall we do next? Oh, shit! Shit! God damn! Yeah, damn! Yeah, damn! I am tired, but we're not done yet. Because we finished it, for now, you know what time it is. You know exactly what time it is. Just goddamn. Stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.